Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to your reading list and library tools for Indigenising curriculum. Um, Now that I think most everyone's here and we've started, just a heads up, we're going to be recording this session. I'll make a start. You should all hopefully be able to see my PowerPoint screen and hear me clearly. If you run into any problems or have any questions, feel free to type up in chat. We'll be monitoring as we go. But without further ado, I'll make a start. I'm seeing a thumbs up. Okay, things are working. So good afternoon, my name is Rachel, and I am joined today by my co-workers, Natalie and Kaya. We all work in the Learning Resources team in the library, and today we are running our guided demonstration session on TALIS reading lists and indigenizing the curriculum. But first, I will begin by acknowledging the Yagara people and the Turrbal people as the traditional custodians of Mianjin, the lands on which I am located today. I pay my respects to Yagara and Turrbal elders past, present, and emerging. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. I recognize and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship with the land since time immemorial and which continue to be important. I'd also like to recognize that the lands in which UQ stand have been sites of learning for tens of thousands of years. Okay, so today we are giving a guided demonstration on how to use TALIS Aspire reading lists. We are going to go through an overview of the new workflow, and then we'll provide a more detailed demonstration of how to access TALIS reading lists, how to edit your lists, how to add new resources, how to publish your list, how to access learning analytics, and how to embed links in the Blackboard system. We're also going to go through what library tools are available to help you with indigenizing your curriculum. As I said earlier, we'll stop briefly for questions throughout, and feel free to type them in the chat as we go. But before I get into this demonstration of TALIS Aspire today, I'm firstly going to provide some context. So one of the reasons for this training is that the curriculum end-to-end program is making some changes that will impact how course profiles and learning resources are handled at the University of Queensland. In particular, Jack Course Instance is here. Jack Course Instance is the new system that will replace ECPs for publishing Semester 2 2024 course profiles. Access to Jack Course Instance for Semester 2 will be available around mid-March. Data has been migrated from previous ECPs, and this data will need to be checked. So we recommend starting early and allowing plenty of time to review your course instance. We're going to be distributing these slides after the session, so feel free to visit any of the helpful learning training links here on this slide or contact if you have any questions. But in regards to course reading lists, this change to Jack Course Instance in Semester 2 will mean that course coordinators will be publishing their course readings on TALIS Aspire reading list system, instead of confirming readings in the ECP as you have done previously. Therefore, from Semester 2, students will see course profiles that include information from Jack Course Instances, and TALIS Aspire reading lists. School Locker the bookstore will also receive reports based upon data collected from TALIS Aspire reading lists. So, academics have the option of adopting TALIS Aspire reading lists early in Semester 1. All UQ staff should already have access to edit and publish their course reading list through the system. So if you'd like to be an early adopter of TALIS Aspire in Semester 1 2024, I'm going to go through the workflow of what that looks like. So using TALIS Aspire in Semester 1 means that you will need to still publish your ECP as you've been doing up to now, but you don't need to add as many readings to your ECP Section 3. All you actually need to add are the readings you expect students to purchase. For example, required own copy needed texts. So if you expect students to go out and buy a book, you still need to add that and publish it on your ECP. But you can go ahead and remove all the other required readings, all the other recommended readings, and just include texts students need to buy. After you've confirmed Section 3 of the ECP, you then move over to TALIS Aspire reading lists. We're going to show you obviously how to do all this in a second, but on TALIS Aspire, you need to go through and update any relevant required texts to required own copy needed if you expect students to buy them. You add any new resources to the list, add any relevant student notes, remove readings you no longer need, and then after you've edited the reading list, go ahead and publish so students can see it. After Tallis lists have been published, as I said, students will be able to see the list. The bookstore school locker will receive information on what books they should purchase, Blackboard will connect through to the reading list and students can access it through there. And the list will be sent to me, as to library staff like myself, and we'll review and make sure everything's working properly. And in this review process, we'll look through and buy any ebooks that are necessary, that we can, purchase any textbooks, check for updated editions, digitize any chapters or articles that we can, and ensure copyright is correct throughout. So that's the workflow if you'd like to be an early adopter of Tallis in semester 1. So now that I've given you that overview and context, let's actually go into the guided demonstration today. I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint and into the system. So all UQ staff should currently have access to edit and publish your reading lists already. And the easiest way to access your reading list is to go to our library search. Hopefully you're all aware of the library search, but if you haven't used it before, you just need to go to any UQ page. For example, I'm here at the home page, and just scroll down to the bottom and click on library. This takes you to the library search. All you need to do is type in your course code, and if you're on a computer, feel free to follow along today with this guided demonstration. Go ahead to the library search and type in your own course code. You should be able to access it already. But for the moment, I'm just going to put this economics course in and click search. When you search your course code, it should take you to something that looks like this. And I'm just going to click on the course reading list here. And that takes me to Tallis Aspire. It might prompt you to log in. And after you do so, you might see a screen like this. Just make sure you click on the correct semester here. So I'm going to click on semester 1. And there's my reading list. Okay, but I won't mess around with this list. I'll use my own training list today. But before I do that, I've just got a few examples of some other academic edited reading lists to sort of show you what you can achieve in the system. So you can have a short list like this, but if you have a lot of readings, you can sort of structure it. There's like a lot of tools that you can use to structure and format your reading list. So for example, I have a RIT course here. And in this course, they've gone through and they've sorted all the readings by week. So it's really clear to students where they should go, what week they should be reading, etc. They've even got like a lot of student notes here, and they've even got a cultural safety note here. So there's a lot of ways you can structure and guide your students through the reading. You can also personalize the list to how you want to personalize it. So for example, in this education course, they've gone through and added a bunch of emojis to things. The weeks rhyme. It's just like a really cute way of making their readings. So you can put your own personal touch on your reading list with Tallis Aspire. I've got an archaeology course here as well that uses paragraphs to really provide detailed context for students and how they should engage with their readings. So you can be as hands-on with your readings as you'd like and really provide students with the information they need. And that's just sort of the things you can achieve with Tallis Aspire if you'd like to, because there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of options to add your readings in the system. But I won't mess around with these readings today. I'm going to use a training list here. And I'm going to jump on in and show you how to use this system. We roll over lists from semester to semester, so it's likely that you already have readings to play around with, rather than a blank slate. Editing these items is quite intuitive. So for example, I'm going to go to my first book here and change the importance status. I'm going to make this a required own copy needed because I think students should buy this good book. I'm going to go here, I'm going to make this recommended, I'm going to make this required. And it's as easy as that is to change the importances around. So yeah, that just makes it very clear that I want students to buy this book. I recommend they read this book. It's required they read this article. Very easy to change the importances like that. If I want to sort of reorder items, it's very easy to do that as well. All I need to go is to these arrows, click and drag. So yeah, I can reorder items like so, like that. If you click on the three dots on the side of these items, you get more options for editing the list as well. So for example, I can click on edit if I need to change any of the details, if the author hasn't come through properly, or if the title isn't quite right. You can click on edit to change the details if you'd like. You can delete an item if you no longer need it. This will remove it from the list. These options here provide more options for moving the item around. So for example, if you have a very long list, clicking and dragging can be quite cumbersome. So if you just click on the three dots and click cut, it's an easier way to move items about if you have a big list. Just hover my mouse there and click paste. So yeah, clicking on the three dots, cut, and then paste. We've also got Note for Students and Note for Library here as well. A Note for Students just provides extra guidance to students in how you'd like them to engage with this reading. So for example, I'm going to put read chapter 1. And that's a note that students can see. If I don't want students to see a note, I'd instead put a note for library. This is a note that's only visible by UQ staff. So these can be working notes for yourself. They might be notes that us library staff add, saying that something's in process to be digitized. Or you can use these to communicate with us if you need any assistance or have any requests for the readings. So for example, I'm going to say, please digitize chapter 1. And these notes, these library notes, aren't visible by students. Last thing I'll show you on this little menu here is that you can also share the item. This provides you a link which you can use to share to students, add to your Blackboard, etc. But we will go into more detail about how to link to Blackboard later. So that's editing items. We can edit sections in much the same way. So for example, I'm going to go to the section here, week 1 rabbit, and click on the three dots again. I'm going to click edit and change this to a week 3 section. I've reorganized my readings around. I want to change things up. So this is the week 3 now. So I'm going to click on the three dots and just cut it like I showed you before. And I can easily reorder sections like that. So hovering my mouse there, I can cut that section and place it there now. If I no longer want that section, I can delete it by clicking on the three dots and clicking delete. However, just a warning, if you delete a section, it'll delete every item within it as well. So only delete sections if you're sure you no longer want those readings. Okay, so that's how you edit items and sections. Now let's talk briefly about how to add new items as well. If I hover my mouse in between items like so, it brings up this other menu that says Add Resource, Add Paragraph, Add Section. Let's add a new week 1 section and make those students read right off the bat. So adding a new section, week 1 Dragon. I'm going to hover my mouse here and add a new paragraph. I mentioned this earlier in that archaeology course. These are sort of like notes that you can add to your reading list to provide guidance, but they're not necessarily tied to readings. We've got an example up here providing an introduction to the course, but you can use paragraphs in any way you like. For example, I'm going to say, please read one of the following. I'm going to make it bold and underlined just so students actually read one of them and can see my note. But yeah, you can add paragraphs like that. There's one more menu item here that says add resource, but I'm actually going to pass to my colleague Kaya, who will go through that in more detail and show you actually how to add new items or bookmarks, as we call them, to the reading list. But before I do that, do I have any questions about how to access your reading list or editing items or sections? And feel free to either type in the chat or pop up, turn off your microphone. Okay, all good. Feel free to type up any questions in the chat as we go along, but for now, oh, who can edit lists? All UQ staff should have access to edit lists. Obviously, you should only edit the list that you are working on or been assigned, but if you're a UQ staff member, you should have access to edit and publish TALIS lists right now. All good, all good. Okay, I will stop sharing so Kaya can share their screen.
Hi everyone. Can you see my screen? All good? Sweet. So hey everyone. So thanks Rachel. Kaya. So I'm gonna be going over a few things. As Rachel said, I'll first be showing you how to add resources, or as we call them, book in Talus bookmarks to lists. I'm gonna go over briefly our the library's Indigenizing curriculum resources page. And in particular, our Indigenizing the curriculum reading list, and I'll show you how you can use that to embed Indigenous resources into your own reading lists. I'll then be going over publishing your reading list and what this achieves. All right, so first, I'm gonna show everyone how to create bookmarks. So I'm still on this training list as Rachel was on earlier. You can be on any list in Talus or any Talus page. What we want to do, we want to navigate to the top of the page. You find the My Bookmarks button here. Just click on this. So this has taken us to the My Bookmarks page. Here it's already prompted me to install the bookmarking extension. It's never done this before initially, so that's interesting. So, but yeah, I'll show you how to do this if it doesn't pop up. So usually you should be taken directly to this page, which is a bank of your bookmarks. If you've already been using Talus a bit, you might have some here already. If not, you might not have any. Don't worry about that. At the moment, what we are really looking for now is the install bookmarking extension button up the top, just here. So you want to click on this. That's brought up this little video as seen before. We want to find this button below the video, the install bookmarking extension second button. Click on this. This should take us to the web store of the browser that we're currently using. In my case, I'm using Chrome, so it's taking me to the Chrome web store. So I just want to click the Add to Chrome button here. It'll prompt me to add the extension to the browser. Click Add Extension. That'll take a little bit. You can see it's been installed now. Now I want to pin this to my taskbar so I can use it easily. So I just click on the extension button up the top and click on the little pin here, and then it's pinned it to the top. And also the first time we're using the extension, it should prompt us to select our institution. So if I click on it now, it's asking me to choose my institution. So we want to select the University of Queensland. Here it is. Then we just click save. And now we're ready to add bookmarks and resources to our reading lists. So just close these few pages. Close this one. Navigate back to my reading list. Just get it ready to add some bookmarks. Here we go. All right. So you can see Rachel's added a week 1 section for Dragon. So the best way to find, or the best place we recommend to find bookmarks is our UQ library search. I've already got the tab open. So I want to find something to add to my Dragon section on my list. I might just type in dragons, do a big broad search. Here we go. We can see we've got a few book options here. I like the look of this Dungeons and Dragon talk one. Maybe I'll use this for my list. All we have to do is click on the link here. to bring up the item info. And then once this screen is up, all we have to do to add it to our bookmarks is click the bookmarking extension up the top here. Should take a bit, and that's ingested the metadata from the library search page. So we see we've got that title, author, other information. We can continue to add here or edit if we like, but I like the look of this as it is. So I'll just click on the create button down the bottom. And that's then save that to my bookmarks. I can continue bookmarking. So say I'm looking through, browsing for resources to add to my list. Say I find a Guardian article that I'd like to add to my one of the sections of my list. I can just, in much the same way, navigate to the article page, click on the bookmarking extension up the top. That's pulled the information for the article here. I like the look of that, so I just go create. Here I've got a film in Canopy that I want to add to my list as well. I can do exactly the same thing here. Just click the bookmarking extension. And then click on create. So those three resources are now saved to my bank of bookmarks. I can navigate back to my reading list and start adding them. So here we are. So here's my week 1 section for Dragon. I can just hover where I want, click on add resource. Here's the bookmark that I saved previously. I just click on this. I can set any importance I like here. I'll make it required for students. And then I had a couple more resources I wanted to add to the list. So I'll browse down, find those sections. Here's my rat section. I'd like to add my rat film. So I'll click add resource. Here's my rat film. Make this one required as well. And then navigate down. Find my pig section. And I'll add my article to this section. Here we are. And I'll make this one recommended. So that's how we add bookmarks using the bookmark tool. There is another way to add bookmarks, which is manually adding them. So in this case, we're not pulling metadata from the resources online, we're just adding it all ourselves. We can do this by clicking add resource here as in the same way. We can scroll down and find this link to create a manual bookmark. This just brings us to a page with empty information for us to fill in. So we could go ahead and fill in all that information if we were keen, but probably the best way to use this is to use the little lookup tool down the bottom. So we can do a DOI lookup here. So I've just copied a DOI that I can paste straight in. So here we go. So once I've pasted that in, I can just click lookup. And that's pulled some information on another book for the Dragon section I'd like to add. So I can just click on create again. Then navigate back to my Dragon section, click add resource. And here's the one I just added. That required as well. So that is adding bookmarks. I suppose generally, it's probably better to use the bookmarking tool just because you can be continuously browsing for resources as you're looking for them via like the library search, the internet. You can create like a larger bank of resources, then come back to your list whenever you like and start adding them since they're saved to your bookmark bank permanently. So let's just check in the chat for a sec there. Okay, So I'm going to segue now into talking a little bit about the our Indigenizing curriculum resources page. So the library has created this Indigenizing curriculum resources page to house our output for our Indigenizing curriculum project in the library, which is we're doing to support the broader UQ Reconciliation Action Plan, which includes action to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander curriculum and inclusive teaching practices into programs at UQ. I guess further to this, the library has been pursuing the goal of moving beyond the myth of a neutral library and moving librarianship past its colonial traditions and supporting the Indigenizing curriculum work at UQ to ensure that no student can leave here without an understanding of UQ's Black history. So all staff should be able to navigate to this page at the moment. I think there'll be a link in the PowerPoint. We might send a link into chat shortly if it's not already there. There it goes. So I just talked to some of the aspects of this page now briefly. So here we've got a little explanation of the page. We will shortly have our getting started with the Indigenizing curriculum module. So keep checking the page periodically, you'll find that soon. We've got a few tools for finding resources here. So we've got a guide, which has a comprehensive list of different sources for finding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island resources. So we can follow this link to find that guide. There's also tips for searching for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander material. There's links to the Indigenizing curriculum reading list here, which I'll be talking to very shortly. So there's a bit of an explanation here. So we've got over 300 resources organized by faculty. We've also got some curated collections that the library has created. So here's just some direct links to these collections. We've got links to a guide to evaluating and selecting education resources. We've got a few examples down here of indigenizing the curriculum in action. So we've got a podcast, we've got the cultural safety modules, and another example of a scholarship list used in the School of Political Science and International Studies. We've got links to the core cultural learning modules down here, and then just a couple of contacts at the bottom, so the librarian team and Italy. So for now, I will browse back up to the Indigenizing curriculum reading list. So I'm just going to go through and briefly explain this, what it is, how you can navigate it, and how you can take resources from here and add them to your own reading list. So I'll just click on this link here. This should take me directly to the reading list. Here it is, all loaded. So all staff should have access to this list as well. So should have a little bit about the list at the top. We've created a paragraph explaining it. So we'll be updating this list regularly with resources. It's provided as a starting point for UQ staff in Indigenizing curriculum, and also explains that the library notes are being used in this list to indicate resources authored by Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Indigenous writers. There's also a bit of information on navigating the list just below. So an easy way to navigate is to use the table of contents button up the top of the page. Since there's a lot of items, this will enable you to browse between faculties as we've organized them. So here we can just click our links and it'll take us directly to the section for each different faculty. It also notes how you can search for a specific resource if you like using the search bar, and how you can copy items to your bookmarks to use into your reading list, which I'll demonstrate shortly. We've got some cultural advice statement here, followed by some contacts here, as well as information on requesting a resource that the library doesn't already have to be added to this list. And just use this link. So I'll demonstrate now adding bookmarks from this page to use in your own list. So we want to find a specific faculty. I guess our list doesn't really have a faculty, so I'll just choose science. I like the look, so I can just browse through here and find something I like the look of. Yeah, I like dark emu. So to add this to my bookmarks, I just click the edit item menu on the right here, scroll to the bottom and click the add to my bookmark button. That should then have saved that resource to my bookmarks. I can just go straight back to my list here and add it wherever I like. So I'll just add it right to the top. Dark emu, might be this required. Okay, so that was installing the bookmarking extension, adding bookmarks. I might just pause briefly to see if there's any questions on adding bookmarks just before I go into publishing your list. All right, so I'll just go straight into publishing your list now. So once you've finished editing your list, as I am now, you might notice that there's this big banner at the top of the page, this big yellow one saying unpublished changes. So this just prompts us to publish our list. Once we're finished editing, we can just press this button here to send it through to publish. So I'm going to do that now. Anyone following along, you can feel free to do it as well. Just click on the publish button now. There we go. So publishing is important because only once your list is published will students be able to view the list. School Locker will also receive information on books they need to stock. And furthermore, Blackboard linking will only start working with published lists. Further to that, once a list is published, it'll be sent through to us in the library to review the list, where we'll do things such as update editions, we'll digitize relevant portions if they're requested, we'll check for ebook access for resources, and we'll ensure copyright for everything is all good. So if you like to make more changes after you publish, you can easily do that. So I might just move stuff around a little bit. It'll prompt us again to publish up the top of the page. Once you're finished editing again, you just send it through to publish, and that'll send it right back on through to us, and students will be able to see the changes there. So that's publishing as well. I might just pause briefly to see if anyone has any questions for me before I hand it over to Nat.
Hi, Kaya.
Hi, Karen.
How's it going?
Not
Thank you
bad,
for
yourself?
that was lovely. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Quick question. What about if, and this might be like a dumb question, but what about if there's restricted limitations on, like on a reading list on a particular book or whatever, so there's access to it, if that means, like you might only have 4 licenses or whatever. So if I was, and I'm actually work at Italy, so more likely to be advising people rather than actually being a course coordinator. But so one of the things we talk about is making sure that there are enough licenses available at any one time if you're putting something on a reading list. So how do you manage that in this kind of circumstances? Do you let them know that there's only one license or things like that?
It can kind of depend. I guess when there are large enough student numbers, we periodically we see the student numbers and we update them in our list periodically. So if we see large enough numbers, often we can get more extra licenses, but it does, I guess, depend. It is kind of like a case by case thing, I suppose. I don't know if Nat would have any more specific info on that.
I could just add that the library uses a collection management policy, which sort of provides an algorithm for the licenses and copies that we can purchase, depending on the resource importance and the enrollments, like Kai was saying. But we don't explicitly communicate with academics about all the licenses, because these lists can sometimes have hundreds of items, and that would be a very detailed thing, but people can always click on an item and then see what the licensing is providing. But in every case, we always try to add the best possible access for all the resources that we're adding. And if it is a required item, we keep that in mind when we're purchasing to make sure that it's adequate access or as best as possible. We're limited by the options that are given from vendors. And so sometimes that's not possible. But yeah, usually there's a conversation when things are difficult with academics to sort of, I know the librarians will have conversations one-on-one about the models that they're selecting, but yeah, not via this list, but via a conversation usually.
Okay, nice, thank you.
Thanks.
So it kind of lies in the responsibility of the course coordinator to ensure that there's enough, that whatever they choose is available, freely available. Well, you know, not three licenses for 1,000 students.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Karen. So was there any other questions at all before I hand it over to Nat? All right, so oh, there you go. I'll hand it over to Nat now.
Thanks, Kaya. So to begin with, I want to show the reading list analytics, which can be accessed by Course Insights within Blackboard. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to create links to your course reading list and Talis Aspire from within Blackboard as well. So on my screen, I have a test site in Blackboard. So there are actually no analytics for this, but I'm going to show you how to get to those areas where you can see the analytics. So here on the menu in Blackboard, there's the Course Insights option. And if I click that, it'll load an LTI tool, which provides you with this dashboard. And the analytics can actually be accessed in two locations. So the first one is the engagement option from the menu. And here you would normally see analytics for the readings on the Talis Aspire reading list. So here I have a screenshot I can show of what this would potentially look like in an actual course list in Blackboard. We're going to include this in the PowerPoint slides as well if you want to look at this later. The other location you can see the analytics is in the student option menu, and you just need to toggle the engagement. And here you will see the engagement next to individual students and how they're engaging with the readings on the reading list. And so this could be of potential benefit for identifying at-risk students, for example. So this is the analytics for the Talis Aspire reading list that you can see within Blackboard. So to actually find the reading list, or to where you might be able to link to the reading list within Blackboard, is in the Learning Resources section of the Blackboard menu. And by default, most course instances will have a link already provided that links out to the Talis Aspire reading list. So it's recommended that every semester you just click on this link just to confirm that it's linking to the correct reading list. This is the link here. And if I click on that, it will link out to our training list that Rachel and Kyra have been working on. if you click on this and it's not linking to the correct list, or it's not linking to a list at all, you can use this relink button, or you will just be presented with a search bar. And when you are, you can just type in the course code of the reading list that you're looking for. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. I'm going to type in the training course list. So, and you have an option to select sections here, but because I want to link to the entire list, I'm just going to save button so that the entire list is linked for this. I'll close that. That will be how you could edit that link there. The other option is to link to individual sections of the Talis Aspire reading list. So for example, the week 1 section or the week 2 section, if I click into this folder here that I have for week 2, you can see here we've already linked to the week 2 Tiger section. So if I click on here to this Talis Aspire link, it will load just the readings that are within that section for week 2, as you can see here. I'll just close that. And so now I'll show you how to create one of these links yourself. So I'll go into the week 3 folder. When you're creating these links to the Talis list, it's best to use the LTI tool to do deep linking. So to do that, go to the build content and option here and scroll down to Talis Aspire reading list deep linking. You click that. It's very similar to, as I demonstrated before, you are presented with a search bar. So you could just type in your course code, and I will just type in the training list again. And here you can also select to embed the entire list, but I'm going to select week 3 section. So I'm just going to click embed section. And that's saying it's a success. So I go back to my week 3 folder and just refresh, and the link will appear. So you might not want the link to look like this. If you wanted to edit the text, you can just click the drop down menu option next to it and click edit. Just change it to like. So I'm going to say week 3 rabbit and just submit that. So if you wanted to test it to see if it actually worked, you just click on it and it should load the section that you just linked to. Rabbit. Yep. Okay. So that's how to embed a link to either a full Talis list or a section of the Talis list for your course using the LTI tool. So there are some benefits I just want to quickly mention to using the LTI tool within Blackboard. Firstly, I'll just say there's simplification of linking here so that you don't have to link to many individual resources. You just have to link to either the list or the sections of the list. You have many resources sitting within those links. And further to this, if the access to these resources change, you aren't then required to be updating all those individual links yourself. We can do that. The library will be doing that in the Talis Aspire reading list application and managing the access via that application for you, so you don't have to do that yourself within Blackboard. And also the benefit of using the LTI tool is that the links will be rolled over when the Blackboard course instance is duplicated for future semesters. So it is recommended to use the LTI tool to link within Blackboard as opposed to URL links, as those URL links will not be as stable in the future. So that's my concludes my section of the overview of Talis Aspire linking within Blackboard. If you have any questions, you can add them to the chat or unmute. And I'm just going to share on the screen here as well, just some support information. Oh, Rachel's also put that in the chat there. So if you do have any questions in the future, or if you run into any issues, need any assistance, you can contact either our team, Learning Resources, via email, which we have there, or you can also reach out to the Faculty Services Librarians, which can help you with almost anything because they're amazing. And then there's also the e-learning team, which can help you with issues for LearnUQ. And I just want to say thanks for your attendance today and your time. And we hope that you have an enjoyable experience using Talis.